We've been using Photopea and then pulling those assets into the Wik editor to create animations. And some of my students are experiencing some frustration, so I want to take a closer look at their work and see if I can help. Take a look. So initially they had these stick figures, and then I told them to make the figures so that they had like an inside and outside and that they were shapes. And they did a pretty good job with this, but they got a little frustrated, which I completely understand. So I'm going to go to Photopea and show you an easier way to do this. Let me just go to Photopea. And now I'm in Photopea, and I'm going to open up. I want to get a walk cycle. So let me just go to a new window or a new tab, and I'm going to just Google walk cycle. Okay. And I'm trying to find an image. So I go to images, and this is the one I've been using. I think it's a good one. So I'm going to open it up, right click, open image in new tab. And then I'm going to right click, save image as walk cycle, and it's just going to be on my desktop. So save, and there it is on my desktop. Okay, now I'm going to go back to Photopea. I'm going to do file open, and I'm going to go to desktop, and I'm going to go to walk cycle. There it is. All right, now I have this, and what I need to do is draw my own. I'm not allowed to just take this picture and copy it. So I'm going to do layer, new layer, and I'm going to take the original layer and I'm going to change the opacity. I'm going to make it like almost like gray so I can easily see. And then I'm going to lock the original layer because I don't want to do anything really with it. So I'm just going to go here and double click on it. I'll X that out, but one of the options is lock. So I'm going to lock that layer. So now I'm going to go up to layer 1, which is where I'm going to be drawing. And the first thing I want to draw is a circle for the head. So we know real heads are actually egg-shaped, but this is a cartoon. So hidden underneath this rectangle is the ellipse tool. This is like the place where all the shape tools are hidden. So there it is. And I need to zoom in a little more because I want to see what's going on. All right, so I need to do this first contact guy. I'm going to make a shape. I'm going to make a circle, but I don't want the circle to have red on the inside. So it says here, fill. I want it to be empty on the inside. And it says that the stroke is going to be 4.4 points, but it also says the stroke is going to be like invisible. So it'll be this invisible circle. Now, so I wanted to pick a color. So I go to this red, and I'm going to pick black. I want it to just have a black outline. So there's my circle, and I don't want it to just be 4.4 points because that's real small. I want it to be a little thicker. So maybe make it like 12 points. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where the first guy is, and I'm going to hold my shift key down while I'm pulling out the circle. And actually, if I hold, I believe it's my control key. No. Control Z. Let's see. 12 points is a little thick. Make it a little thinner. Okay. I think it's the Alt key and the Shift key together. I can pull the circle out from the middle. And it'll be a perfect circle. And I'm pulling it from the middle of where I want it to be. So if you hold the Alt and Shift key together, you'll be able to create a perfect circle that matches the circle underneath it. So that's one trick. Now, this circle is what's called a smart object. It's not it's a vector-based object. Now, vector-based objects are plotted on an XY grid. If you ever remember from geometry class, you can plot coordinates on an X and a Y, and then you can connect the dots to create an image. Well, that's what a vector-based object is. It's based on a bunch of an infinite number of mathematical points. So because of that, you can't erase it. You can't delete pixels. There's a lot of things you can't do with it. So I'm going to do something called rasterizing. I'm just going to go to the layer one, right click and rasterize. And that'll turn this circle into a pixel-based image, just like anything else that I draw in Photoshop. So you have to rasterize it after you make a shape. Now, the next step is, here's my brush tool. I'm going to make my brush a little thicker. Okay, too thick. Still too thick. Make it a little thicker. Maybe 6 points. That's good. Now, I'm going to take my brush tool and I want to change my foreground color to black. So here my foreground color already is black. If your foreground color is another color, you just click on it and you pick black and then hit OK. Now, I'm going to click on a spot and then I'm going to hold the Shift key down while clicking on another spot. I'm going to, on the keyboard, the thing that makes capital letters, the thing that says Shift that makes your letters uppercase, that's what I'm holding down. So if I click here and then I click somewhere else, it'll connect the two dots with a straight line. It's just a nice little feature of Photopea. So I'm going to go around here and I'm going to basically draw my guy, but out of straight lines. So this is so much easier than trying to draw with a keypad and and no mouse and no tablet. So this is my trick. Okay, so let me just make his body. I'm going to not worry about his arm for now. I'm just going to make his body. Okay, so now I'm going to worry about his arm, but I think I'm going to have to erase here to get the arm just right, so I can do that. I'm just going to go ahead with my eraser and erase, and now I'm going to draw his arm. So there's my brush tool, and I'm going to hold the Shift key, and now here's my brush tool again, and I'll hold the Shift key again, and then I'm going to hold the Shift key again. I'll click here and hold the Shift key again, and I just want to make a little circle for his hand. So I'm going to go back to the ellipse tool. Now remember, if I start approximately where I want that circle to be and hold the Alt key, the circle will spread out from the middle. If I hold the Shift key, it'll be a perfect circle. I don't want a perfect circle now because it's going to be a hand, but I do want it to sort of spread out from the middle. So I'm going to go here, and there's my circle, and now I'm going to use the Move tool to move the circle. Okay, and then I can do Edit, Transform, Rotate, and rotate the circle to get it just where I want it. Okay, I can change the size by doing Edit, Transform, Scale. Once I have that circle the way I want it, I'm going to hit this check mark over here. And notice it's a separate thing from the guy. Okay, that's because this is vector-based and this is pixel-based. So if I want this to be pixel-based like the rest of it, I just have to rasterize it. And now it's just called Shape 1. And then all I have to do is right-click and merge down. And now it is in the same layer as my little guy. Okay? So now I'm going to do the back arm. And let's see. Back to my brush tool. All right. Click. Shift. And now I want to make another little oval here. So let me just hold the Alt key down and I'll make another little oval. There we go. And if I want the lines to be a little thicker on that oval, I can go here to stroke and I can use that cursor and I can actually see it getting a little thicker. So that might be nice. Okay, so it's still a shape. Okay, so I have to rasterize it and then I have to do layer merge down. So it's actually part of the same layer. So you just go here to the layer menu and you merge down. Okay, so now I have most of my first guy done. Let me just use the brush tool again. And what you're going to see is not a bad version of the guy. If I just undo this, it didn't take me that long, and I was actually able to draw a person just with the keypad of a Chromebook without actually having to freehand draw. Okay? I've just made it out of shapes. So now that I have this in shape 1, I can probably I can take this layer, okay, and I'm going to call it contact because that's actually the name. Okay. Now it's time consuming to do this, but it's actually very rewarding because you actually have this nice image now. But if you want to play around with kind of closing this, okay, now I'm going to just fill the different parts of him with white and gray. So the parts that are far away are going to be gray and the parts that are near are going to be white. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my magic wand, and that's a hidden tool. It's hidden under this sort of bean shape object selection tool. So there's my magic wand. I'm going to click here and I need to get inside. Sometimes you'll find that it's hard to get inside. So I'm just going to do select, deselect. Part of the reason why it's hard is because this is a very low resolution image. So let me take a minute to change the image size. Right now, it's just 3 inches high. It's 9 inches across, but it's only 72 dpi. That's very low resolution. So maybe I could make the resolution higher. I changed it to 300. And now I'm going to take my magnifying glass and I'm going to go to minus. And now it's going to be a little easier to get inside the lines because I have a higher resolution image, which means that these images are made out of more pixels and therefore there's more space in there, more pixels inside there. So I'm going to just take this hand and I'm going to move along to here. And now I'm going to use my wand and you're going to see it's a little easier to get inside here. So I'm selecting here and I'm also selecting here. And okay, I'm now selecting too much stuff. I'm going to go Control Z again. And do you see how this and this are not connected? I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to do select, deselect. I'm going to take the eraser and I'm going to make it real small. Okay, that's a good size. And I want to actually go in here and do a little bit of erasing because what there is a very light kind of gray in there. All right, now this all should now be one space. Let me take my magic wand and now it's all one space, but you can see there's sort of a grayish white border where the selection ends and the black begins. So what I'm going to do is select, modify, and expand. And I'm going to expand it by 3 pixels and see what happens. I'm expanding the selection. And you see now it goes right into the black. Okay, so now maybe I wanted to expand one more. So I'm going to do select, modify, expand, and I'll expand it by 1 more pixel. And let's see if that does it. Yeah, now it's going right into the black. That means any color I fill in here will look correct. So now I'm going to do edit, fill, and I'm going to pick gray. There you go. select, deselect. And now I want to go in here and look, there's that border. So I'm going to do select, modify, expand. And this time I know that I need to expand it by 4 pixels because that's the amount I needed total last time. And now edit fill gray. Okay, so let me just back up a little and see, okay, this area here needs to be done. So I'm going to go here with my wand. I got to get inside there. And now I'm going to do select, modify, expand, and expand it by 4 pixels. Edit fill with gray. Okay, select, deselect. Now, I have this cool image. The rest of it's going to be white. So since I know the rest of it's going to be white, I'm just going to do magic wand, and then I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm selecting multiple areas that are going to be white. Now, they all have that problem where they need to be expanded by 4 pixels. So modify, expand, 4 pixels, okay, edit fill white, edit fill white. Select, deselect. Now, what this means is I have the first guy done, but I don't want the next guy in the same layer. I want them in another layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do layer, new layer, and that new layer will be called Recoil later. But for now, I don't need to name it. I will be doing that later though. So now I got my brush tool. I got my black. I'm going to start adding in. I think I need to up the pixels a little bit, maybe a few more pixels, make it a little fatter. That's good. All right, now, not too much. Instead of just sliding it along, which is very imperfect, why don't I try putting the number in? So I'll put 25 pixels. It's not enough. Okay. Why don't I try 20? Okay. I think that looks good. Okay, now, click, shift, click with the shift key. If I don't want to connect something, I don't use the shift key. Okay, so I don't want to connect. I just want to start here. And now I hold the shift key. Now let me go here and hold the shift key. Here and hold the shift key. Here. Here. Whenever I don't want to connect anything, I leave the shift key off. And when I do want to connect 2 areas, I keep the shift key on. Now, these things are going to be ellipses. So here's my ellipse tool. I'm going to go Alt and Shift and pull a circle, perfect circle out from the middle till it matches. And it's too thin. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to change the number of points until it's thick enough. Good. And now you see it was in, now it's in a separate layer. So I'm going to do merge down. Okay, now another circle tool. This time I'm going to hold the Alt key, but I'm not going to hold the Shift key because I want it to be like an egg shape. And here I'm going to hold the Alt key, but not the Shift key because I want it to be kind of like an egg shape. Now in this case, I'm going to move it because it came up too high. So I want it more like this. Okay, so it's looks a little big to me. So I'm going to do edit, transform, scale. And I can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, that looks better. Hit the check. Okay, now you can see I just made different layers here. So if I go to shape 3 and I just merge it down, And then I go to shape 2 and merge it down. And it should be all rasterized because it got merged into a raster based layer. So now let me go back here to my brush tool and do the other leg. Click, shift. Okay, and you can see these do not look bad. They don't look exactly like the original, but they don't look bad. So now I just have to figure out which are the faraway shapes and fill them with gray. It's basically the identical process. But now I want to show you something. This all has a much crisper look to it because I changed the DPI to 300. Notice how before I had the situation where there was a fuzzy edge to the line. That's because when I drew it, the DPI was only 72. So making a higher resolution on the image makes it a more precise looking image. So I'm just going to zoom in here. I'll put this on plus, and I'm going to show you just how nice and snug this is against the line and how crisp the lines are. Okay, now I'm going to do edit fill, and I'm going to pick gray. There we go. And I didn't have to expand the selection any because I drew it in a higher res. So now I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm selecting multiple areas, and now edit fill white. Okay. Now, if I keep doing this, each one of these guys needs to be in a different layer. So I'm going to keep on making these people, and each one is going to be in a different layer. And if I make shapes, I have to merge those shapes with that layer. So now this one is going to be called Recoil. And let's remember to rename all our layers. Okay, this is in caps lock for some reason. Now, so I can keep doing this, and I'll have all these people. If you want to do something like, say, make a face or make something with details in it, like make a realistic drawing, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. But what you're going to do when you have all these people in different layers is you're going to export them. Well, you can save the whole thing as a PSD. Like if you're not done, you just do save as PSD, and you'll have a layered Photoshop document to work on next time. But let's say you're all done and you've done all these people and you've got all 9 of them done. When you get to contact, the second contact, just call it contact 2, because it's actually not identical to this one. You see how this one, this leg's in front, but the same leg is in back now because it's switched. So don't accidentally name them the same things. Like it's not going to be Recoil, it's going to be Recoil 2 because the legs are switched. But when you're done and you have all of them done and all of them named, you can do File, Export Layers. And if you uncheck this top box, it will give you each layer named contact, recoil, etc. So you can actually go into the WIC editor and make an animation with it.